Hello, Michael. How are you?
How you doing, Michael?
I'm good.
And we've got Jillian as well. How you doing, Jillian? Good to see you. All right. And here's Sarah. We haven't met her before.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Jillian. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to see you guys again. Hey, Sarah. Great to meet you. I don't think I've met you before.
Hello.
Hello. Great to meet you. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm well, thank you.
What kind of coach are you?
Nutritional health coaching.
Lovely. Lovely. Do you have a particular niche?
I more just specialize with people who are just sort of starting their plant-based journey and looking
Right.
to wrap up their gut health as well.
Great. All right. Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, start with Michael. How has the last week been for you? Last week was a pretty powerful call. We talked about being versus doing. How's the week been since then?
The week actually has been terrific, especially today. I've been going through the loop cash-in process,
Oh, lovely. Yes.
and I signed a client today. So
Hey,
I'm really happy.
everyone give Michael a virtual high five. Here's Janelle, here's Adam. Well done, man. That's really great to hear. Love that. And what was the process like? Did they just respond to your post and then you were able to message them and get them on a call pretty easily?
Yep, yep. Well, it's also a friend of mine, so she does respond a lot to the stuff I put out. But um it was pretty strange because as soon as I got on the call, like as soon as she said hello, it was like, okay, this is going to be a yes. It's like I just knew.
It's an energy thing, right? You can tell.
Yep.
Excellent. Great. And I mean, was it because of that energy, because of that relaxed energy, were you able to be more confident with the pitch and things like that?
Yes, yes, and also because it is someone I know already. Like we
Mm.
had background that I could draw on and that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a pretty easygoing call, and everything worked out really well.
Yeah, you had good rapport, right?
Hmm.
So it's like
Yep.
when you have that level of rapport and trust, and when it makes sense, when you know enough about the person, when you're certain that you can solve their problem, then it makes sense to make an offer, right? So you can feel comfortable about making an offer. You don't have to feel all awkward about it and kind of, oh, I wonder if they're going to say yes or not. It's like, hey, well, based on what we've talked about, here's the offer. Here's what I think we should do based on everything we've talked about. And you've got a problem you don't want. I've got a solution that you want but don't have. Here's what I'm offering you. Can you see how this is going to be something that helps?
Yep.
You know, it's
That's
up to
and
them.
that was
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty much the way the call went. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if there is some reason why they can't do it, like, oh, yes, I can see how it's valuable, but it's a bit expensive, or I don't really have the spare funds right now, or I've got, all this other stuff going on, so I can't start for a few more weeks, whatever it is. You guys then have the opportunity to work together as a team to overcome those objections because it's something that you both want. It's not like you're fighting against each other. You're not fighting
Hmm.
against the person to convince them that they should do it. You guys are already on the same page that they should do it. It's just about working together to remove any obstacles, right? So it just
Hmm.
changes that whole dynamic of the sales situation, right? When you have that relaxed energy, when it's a good fit. That's what we always say when we say good fit. That's what we mean when it makes sense to work together, right?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Jillian, how's your week been since last time?
My week's been kind of slow business-wise. I had some back issues, and then my car had to go in, so into the mechanic. So my focus has kind of been elsewhere this week.
Yeah, it's hard when you're in pain, right? When your back goes. Is it like lower back? Is it something you've had for a while?
Well, I moved a piece of furniture about 2 months ago, and that popped something in my lower back. Actually, I went into Emerge the Christmas Eve day. I was in Emerge for that back pain. I separated my sacroiliac. So that was nasty. And then he gave me some good meds, which is really good.
You gained some what?
He gave me some good meds.
Oh, some meds. Right. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you train normally? Do you do strength training normally?
I was a gymnast in my younger years, and I was very athletic and going through, life, a divorce, changed provinces, all of these things happened. So then I kind of stopped training. And now I'm just getting back into training. I got a rebounder, which I love, and been using that and other like isometric targeted training. And so maybe that's what is possibly caused the injury, because I may have gone in a little bit too hard, too rambunctious on the exercising, possibly. But
yeah, maybe. I mean,
I'm not 20 anymore.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing, guys. Like business doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's always any amount of other things going on around us at any time, right? We've got ever-changing variables and circumstances surrounding us in our lives. We all have different stuff going on. A lot of us have kids, a lot of us have families, a lot of us have, sometimes we get injured, sometimes we have to move house, and sometimes we get sick. Sometimes we have, situations with friends and family. There's all kinds of drama going on around all of us at all times. So, it's about being able to zoom out when you need to look at everything, and just when you have something bad happen and you have to take a week off, it just is what it is. And it's not about beating yourself up and getting down in the dumps about it. It's just about, thinking about being in the present. What can I do today to kind of pick up the pieces and make tomorrow a bit better? What can I do today to use what I have and make the most out of my situation? So that would be my advice for you, Jillian. Is just it's been a not such a great week, but it's good to just start from where you are, look at what you've got, look at what you can do today, look at what's within your power to control. And that's what I encourage all of you guys to always think about. Yeah.
That's given me pause to say, okay, because I don't have a lot of one-on-one clients right now, and that's primarily where I've been focused on, either that or group. But if I have, and I do have a couple of programs that are standalone evergreen programs, and if I can kind of beef those up and send people to those and just have some email templates that are already written, like have that stuff done, so that if this continues to happen, if I need to take some time away, then I can kind of send people to those things. That's given me
Great thinking. Yeah, have some like just some low ticket offers that you can just sell to your audience, to bring in some income even when you're not able to spend a lot of time with clients. Totally. I've been talking to Janelle about that actually as well. So Janelle, how's the week been for you? I know we just spoke, but just share with the others, how are things going, and what's been going well, what's been challenging?
Yeah, I mean, the girls went back to school this week, so momentum is picking up for me, which feels really good. And when it feels good, things start to happen, right? So I had a couple sales calls, getting back into the messaging in a more intense way. So it's been a good week, but it definitely feels like I'm starting back up again in a sense, though I was very consistent with, posting my content throughout the break. So I would say for me, it's been a good week. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's great. And today we put in some good work on, reaching out to a lot of your leads and things like that. So yeah, exciting times ahead. You're off to a good start with plenty of momentum to start the year. So that's good. Well done. All right, Adam, great to see you, man. How you doing? How's the last week been for you?
Doing good. Last week, honestly, if I can be straight up, I have been lazy. I've been doing the things like I've been doing the quote unquote, like, you know, this is what I should do each and every day, but I feel like I've been doing nothing extra, even though I have a lot of time to be doing some extra things. So yeah, outside of that, like momentum otherwise is good, but I find that any time that I'm like, if I take on a bunch of clients in a short period of time, that I end up like relaxing or leaving go of the reins too much. And I feel like I'm in this constant up and down of momentum. It's not that like I don't know what to do, it's I just don't do it. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck there.
Who can relate to what Adam is saying? Me. Yep. So this is normal, right? It's kind of it's like a matter of course. If you get 5 new clients today, then that's 5 new people you've got to service, and that's 5 new programs you've got to write, and that's 5 new journeys that you're becoming part of. It's a big deal, right? You're becoming one of the most important people in these people's lives when they employ you as their coach. That's a big deal. They're putting a lot of trust and faith in you. So you need to put a lot of time and energy into helping them transform their life, which is a big deal. So I want you guys to always remember that when you take on a client, it's a very intimate relationship where you're helping them achieve something pretty special, and it's going to literally change their life. It's going to open a door for the rest of their life. It's going to look a lot different to what it has for them so far, depending on what you're doing for them. But usually it's like a pretty big deal. So, you know, you've got to remember in business, there's going to be seasons, right? So there's going to be what I like to call hustle and flow. So there's hustle and then there's flow, right? And this is why, you know, you've seen Ruben talk a lot about the loop cash in. A lot of you guys have heard about the loop cash in, probably all of you actually. It's in the course, and it's also something that we teach in the one-on-one calls. But the loop cash in kind of takes advantage of this phenomenon of seasons in business, right? Because when you're kind of not as busy, like maybe you don't have as many clients, and the objective is to get more clients, then what are we focusing on? We're focusing a lot on DMs. We're focusing a lot on content. We're focusing a lot on the daily metrics, right? Spending a lot of time working in the business, right? In the back end, trying to generate more leads and make more sales. So, but then when you get a big influx of clients signing up, then obviously you're not going to be able to put the same amount of time and energy into the other stuff that I just mentioned. You have to instead put a little bit of time and energy, or a lot of time and energy, into helping these clients actually succeed and actually get results. A lot of people make the mistake of not doing that. They just keep focusing on always getting more clients. And the clients they do get, they kind of neglect, and they don't get a good experience. All right, that's a big mistake, because I mean, it should be obvious, but it doesn't reflect well on your business if you take on clients and then those clients don't get results, right? So it looks bad. It's a bad experience for the client, but also it gets rid of a big opportunity for you to leverage the client experience for more clients. So it's in your best interest to help your clients get a good experience and get a good result, because you can then get things like testimonials and referrals from them. That makes getting new clients easier and easier and easier. The more clients you have who have a good experience, the easier it becomes to grow your business, the easier it becomes to produce content, because it's all it's multiple birds with the same stone, right? I get a client, they have a good experience, great. Now I can get a testimonial from them. That keeps them interested. That helps them feel cared about. But it also gets me more clients, right? Without having to talk to cold leads, without having to try and go and search for more leads from nowhere. I can build outwards from where I am by using what I've got. So guys, I encourage you to try to kill as many birds with the same stone as you can, if that makes sense. So if you're getting a big influx of clients, focus on them, right? And leverage those clients to get more clients. You don't have to always worry about, oh, but what about my cold leads? What about this and that? What about my new conversations with new leads? That's still important, but you can get, there's other ways to get clients by focusing on the clients you've got as well. Right. Anyone have any questions about that? Does that make sense? Great. All right, Sarah, like I said, great to meet you. Welcome. How are things looking for you at the moment? And what would you say is the biggest struggle that you're facing?
Hello. For me right now, I'm just because I just got off a show literally yesterday was my last day. So I've been working 6, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day,
Wow.
in my other job. And so my business took like a back seat. So I've had this thing running for almost 2 years now, but every time I start a show, it's really difficult to maintain. And my business takes a back seat. So for me, I'm just pretending like I'm starting at ground zero and optimizing everything, going through all my social media, making sure that I'm being consistent with everything, learning how to get my messaging across better, revamping my niche. Essentially, it's essentially the same, but I'm literally going through my website right now too, looking at things like how can I word things differently, and then really just focusing on how I can start creating conversations. The followings that I have currently are not ideal clients.
Right.
So realistically, it's about now creating some of the content that I can and then going in, and I think I'll have to do more cold outreach than anything else for now.
Mhm. I
To
mean,
try to
what
start
about,
attracting, yeah.
yeah, I mean, what about what I was just saying? So, do you have like current and past clients that you could interview about their experience working with you?
Yeah, so nothing current, but I can definitely, I oddly enough, like a few days ago, reached out to all of my past clients to check
Oh,
in,
great.
see how they're, yeah, see how they're doing, if they're working on any new goals, and if there's anything that I can help them with, and letting them know that I'm still there for them if they need it.
Great.
And then I offered all those new clients a new training that I just did, and just said,
Oh, wonderful.
here's a freebie for you, just cause. So
Yeah, good move. Good move. And
yeah,
I would also come back and I would ask them, yeah, I would ask them if they're open to getting on a Zoom interview and just talking a little bit about their experience working with you. And then that gives you content, but it builds
yeah,
trust with your audience because it shows you're working with real people, getting real results. Um, and that just makes it just does a lot of the heavy lifting for you in regards to building audience trust and just
yeah,
gaining
I
back
have
some
received
momentum.
testimonials from all these people, which was really lovely. Video testimonials. The only thing is the clients that I have had in the past, I wouldn't classify as ideal clients. And unfortunately, the vast majority of them didn't put in the work. So they
Uh,
didn't get the results I had hoped and dreamed for them. And I don't think they got
yeah,
the results they had hoped and dreamed. But like when it comes to anything that is nutrition related, is much like fitness and stuff, like this is the person themselves. They have to put in the work. And
yeah.
it's, yeah, I feel like I over deliver, and it was hard to sort of like, it was hard to sit back and watch people just not put in the work.
It is hard,
So
and I think that's something else we can all relate to as well, right? I'm sure that all of us sitting here have experienced that, right? Because it's pretty common. Because, and the reason is because these kinds of changes that we're helping people to bring about are hard. There's things that require work, and people are looking for shortcuts. People are looking for the magic pill, and it's the truth is that it's not sexy, it's not fun. It's just you got to have discipline, you got to have patience, you got to have resilience, you got to do the work, you got to be consistent. That's it. That's whether it's business or whether it's fitness or whether it's nutrition or whether it's relationships. All these things take work, and they take you deciding, you as in the person doing the work, the person who wants to make the change. You need to decide who you need to be in order to get that result. So who is that person, and what do they spend their time doing, and what do they think about, and what kind of things do they value? And this is a conversation you need to have with your leads when you sign them up. This is part of setting expectations, right? And it's part of being realistic with people, helping them set healthy expectations so they can set realistic goals, so they can be prepared to show up with the discipline needed, the patience needed, the resilience needed, because they know ahead of time that it's a big deal. It's not going to be easy. You're not here to be, Harry Potter with your magic wand. getting them all the results overnight, they have to care more about their results than you do because it's their journey, not yours. You're simply here as a support and a guide, right? So I think if we set those expectations at the beginning and we're just really, just truly very real with people about what to expect and about the level of responsibility they have to take for their own journey in order to be successful in it, then I think you'll get less of that happening. And that's something that just takes practice and time. And, because it's hard. We've all been there when you need clients and you want to make a sale and you've got someone, it's easy to just promise the moon and the stars to get them to sign up. But then you're just setting them up for not what they expected, because they're thinking it's going to be easier than it really is. They're thinking they're going to get better results than they really gonna with the level of effort they're putting in. So yeah, realistic expectations is the name of the game. And it's going to help you a lot to approach your sales situations with that in mind. Does anyone have questions about that or comments or thoughts about that? Oh, okay, great. That makes sense to everyone. All right, Katie, how are you doing? How's the week been for you? Great to see you.
Hey, it's been good. I started working with a new client, and I think what I'm coming up with now is, I think something that other people sort of described as well. Well, I'm having a little bit of anxiety about where the next one is coming from. It's funny because it's like something good happened and now I'm nervous. Just about keeping up the momentum. And so I think like mindset work for myself, as well as just keeping going with the daily tasks, is kind of what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm. So your anxiety about where the next client's going to come from, that's coming from a place of scarcity, right? Like your subconscious believes that there's not enough clients and that you're not going to get more, and that it's hard to get clients and that it's hard to make money. It's hard to make sales, right? But that's all false, because you just made a sale and you just got a client. It wasn't that hard, right?
Right.
So what do you think you can do every day to kind of keep the subconscious in its place and not let the monkey take the steering wheel?
Yeah, well, I've been focusing on doing some breathing techniques like we talked about last week, getting into a better routine with all of that. Sometimes even multiple times a day.
Great.
Just, I think, putting in the daily work of the manual audience growth and just the self-talk about I'm doing the things that I need to be doing.
Yep.
Doing things for myself.
And keep it in perspective, right? So today is like right now in this moment, you're safe. You've got food, you've got water, you've got a roof over your head. There's no lion coming to kill you right now, right? I know it sounds like a joke, but it's seriously, our physiology still believes that, not being able to pay your bills is the same as being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Your physiology still believes that, right? Your physiology believes that when you get a bill in the mail, or when we get these things that happen, when you get a flat tire, or when you get a big unexpected bill in the mail, whatever, it's the same hormonal and physiological reaction as if you're being chased by a tribe of cavemen who want to kill you, or chased by a bear in the woods, right? So you have to keep things in perspective. Remember, that's just my physiology playing tricks on me. I'm not really in danger. Everything's okay. I'm going to focus on what I can do today to serve my community, right? To change lives, to help more people know that I exist and that I can help them, and to help the clients that are already working with me, right? And that just takes a little bit of recentering, using the breath as an anchor. So last week we talked about using the breath as an object of attention. to bring you out of your mind, which is chaos, right? And into the body, which is being. And when you're in a place of being, then you can act from a good state. You can act from a productive and neutral state and not be biased and not be scared and go into sales calls being scared that you're not going to get the sale and all this stuff that's going to shoot you in the foot, right? So great. And I want to tell you guys, I mean, many of you were here last week when we did the breathing, or when we talked about the breathing. You only need to do 90 seconds at a time, right? So it only takes 90 seconds to shift from the mind to the body. It only takes 90 seconds of deliberate, intentional breathing and watching the breath, the way I described, to go from sympathetic state to parasympathetic state. It only takes 90 seconds. So like you said, Katie, several times a day is fine, because 90 seconds, I mean, everyone has 90 seconds to spare. I don't care who you are, right? Even if you're late for a call, you can still take another 90 seconds and breathe for a bit. It's not going to be a big deal, right? If it's a difference between having a great call and having a shitty call, do it. Take the extra 90 seconds. Get yourself ready so that you can coach or you can sell or whatever it is you're doing from the right space, not from a space of panicking and being anxious and being scared about not paying your bills. Right? You guys have to protect your energy, know how to put yourself in an optimal state versus a suboptimal state, right? Because you guys have to lead other people. As a business owner and as a coach, you're a leader. So you have to lead from an optimal state, not a suboptimal state. Does that make sense to everyone? Who has any questions?
Can I ask Katie a question about your client that you have right now? Do you know exactly where that client came to you from?
I do, yeah. She was a suggested people you may know on Facebook, and I friended her. She accepted and messaged me because she saw my banner and how it talked about what I did. And then we spoke a week later, and it was like that. So, I mean, it really did come easily. Yeah.
So before she messaged you, did you know that she was going to message you? Did you do anything for her to message you?
No, I just friended her.
So is there a possibility that that could happen again?
Yes, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Jillian,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that's actually something that I was going to mention before and I forgot. So I love that, so yeah, you got to win, because I was saying, Katie, you got to win, you got a new client. And that was the other point I was going to make. Like, whenever you guys get a win, like Jillian said, look at the last couple of clients that you signed up. Where did they come from? Can you replicate that process? Can you repeat that? Right? This is what I do. I mean, I've had 4 sales in my own business since Christmas, right? Which at this time of year for me is unheard of. But the way I got most of them, the way I got like the last 2 or 3 of them, is by looking at how I got the previous ones and just doing more of that, right? Because they've all of my new clients have come from the same kind of community, and it's been super easy. And they all know each other, right? So they're all talking to each other, and they're all, if I gain one of their trust, and it's easy to gain the rest of their trust, especially if you do a good job with them. If they start working with you and they're happy with the results, get their friends, get their colleagues, right? Get them to spread the word, right? Most people out there actually need a coach. They just don't realize it. So you guys are never going to have a shortage of leads. Believe me. All right, awesome. So Josh, great to see you, man. How are you?
Hey, doing good.
You back in Tassie?
Yep, back. I've been back just over a week now.
What's it like to be back?
Good, real good. Like 5.5 weeks in the US is fine, but it is nice to be home, and it's hard to travel with a toddler, so that makes travel a little bit different.
Yeah, I can imagine. I couldn't imagine going overseas with my daughter on the plane. That would be too much.
It's a challenge, but he did really well.
Awesome. All right. So since being back,
Hmm.
what would you say has been going well, and what would you say is maybe a bit of a struggle?
The only struggle is having enough functional hours in the day. Everything is going well. So it's not all upward trajectory, but it's trending that way. So the first week has just been catch ups. I've got people that I work with that are based here in Hobart, and so I organized catch ups with all of them in person instead of just the normal online check ins. So I have some business hours or office hours that I keep at a local gym where I do train people with one-on-one coaching sessions occasionally by appointment stuff. I'm not doing in-person PT anymore, but people that I've been working with locally, I just organized catch-ups over the last week. Just set some hours, let them book in with my Calendly, just have a face-to-face, maybe do some measurements if they need it, or I refer a lot of local people to a place that does body scans and measuring. So just catching up with all the in-person people, setting up my new office space, because I'll be working from home a lot more now instead of out of the back room of the gym, because that wasn't the most productive place. Fixing up my home gym and just onboarding. I got 5 new people that started last week.
Wow.
Well, it's beginning of the year stuff, So when I was
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
I was putting together a wait list and interviewing people, and for the first week of Jan start. So that was a lot. That's a lot of work to onboard people. So it was that, and then next week, like I'm just been focusing on catching up, making sure the new people have a good experience, get them set up well, and then this week has been a lot of content creation and getting things set up and scheduled so that I can do a push for another intake towards the end of the month.
Man, sounds like things are locked down tight. It's awesome.
Trying. That's been my focus at the beginning of this year, is to make sure I set up everything, put my systems together so that I am getting the things done. And like you were saying before, like I've got a little daily checklist here and things that I have. Maybe I can show you. There you go. I'm a whiteboard guy. So I've got checklists and I've got another one up top. And my daily checklist, the very first thing I do is coach. You gotta take care of the people you have because they're worth their weight in gold. And that's what we
Absolutely.
do, work for coaches more than salespeople. So the first thing I do every day is I do my coaching, and then time dependent, depending on the day of the week, I start looking at, calls to action, leads, do my daily checklist stuff. But the very first thing is make sure I remember I'm a coach, focus on that. And I've been getting some amazing testimonials in the last couple months too. So that all pays off.
Love it. Love it. How many of you guys have at least a couple of clients that you're working with right now who you think would be ready for a testimonial? Josh, Katie, Janelle, Michael, Adam, Jillian.
I do every class that I have with them, I ask them for a testimonial right after that. So I get them like after every class.
Great. Have you done Zoom interviews with them?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Not really.
All right. I want to give
Past
you
class.
guys a list of questions to ask to make a good testimonial interview on Zoom. Right. So you guys write these down. So the first one, and I'll just do a bit of a whiteboard here. I'll write them down for you. And also, guys, don't be afraid. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about so far, or any questions about anything at all, please jump in and ask me. Okay. So testimonial questions. If you look on my profile on Facebook, I've done a lot of these. This is my favorite type of content to create and post. I just find it so easy to do, and it always gets me at least a new client every time I do it. So it's just super easy. Takes very little effort. Right, especially if you get good at interviewing. Interviewing is a great skill to develop because you can do stuff like this, and you can produce some really effective content. But you can also do things like get on podcasts, right? Like I know Jake is always talking about getting on podcasts. It's also something that I really agree with. It's a fantastic way to kind of cross-pollinate audiences, completely borrow someone else's audience, right? Put yourself in front of a whole new network of people in one fell swoop. And if you're good on the camera, if you're good at speaking to an audience, if you're good at even interviewing and maybe even having your own podcast, it's just going to help you so much with such a small amount of effort to just get such a larger reach, right? Just amazing. So the questions I like to ask when I get a client on a testimonial interview on Zoom, number one, so tell us. So first you'll introduce them and all that kind of stuff. Of course, you give like a nice interview and set the scene, give a bit of a summary of what you guys have done together. But you want to tell us a bit about what your life was like before we started working together. Something like that, right? Together. So that's the first question. Pretty straightforward. The second question is, and then you obviously, when they give a response, you demonstrate that you've listened, and you kind of mirror the response back to them and just kind of celebrate or just relate to the response. Like if they're telling a sad story about what their life used to be like, kind of empathize a bit. And then you can just kind of say, well, hey, well, now that we've been working together for a while, I know that's a thing of the past. So tell us a bit about what things are like now, right? What has changed since we started working together, right? Easy. Makes sense. Pretty straightforward so far. And then same thing, they're going to give a response. You're going to be able to celebrate and say, wow, that's an amazing story. What a great transformation that you've been able to achieve in a relatively short time or whatever. Or so great to hear that you're no longer in pain and that you're able to do the things that you've always wanted to do, right? It's so great that you have the confidence to be able to ask women out on dates or whatever it is that they've changed about themselves. Just help them celebrate and just be with them in that moment and make it a really warm and make it a really positive thing, right? Because it's going to be really positive for your audience to see it, but it's also going to be positive for your client to be there with you celebrating their win in that setting. So make the most of it and really make it something enjoyable and really bring the energy, all right? Does that make sense? So the third one is, so what has been your favorite thing about the process so far? Right, so this is a great opportunity for them to kind of sell your point of difference. So to help your audience understand how you're different from other coaches and how kind of you're the better choice, so to speak, how you do things differently, the extra level of care you show, right? Whatever it is. And obviously before you start recording, you can brief the person, like you can talk a little bit about what kind of answers that you're roughly looking for. You guys can talk together a little bit about what kind of stuff you can talk about so that there's no one just freezes up and doesn't know what to say ahead of time. They know what questions you're going to ask before you start, so they can already get a bit of an idea of what they're going to say. That kind of thing is usually helpful to do. It's common sense though, right? So number 4, this is the final question. What would you say to anyone who might need this type of support, but is unsure about who to trust? Right? So this is like, what would you say to anyone who's on the fence about doing this kind of thing? Right? Anyone at home who knows they need to make this kind of change and get support with this kind of thing, but they have been holding back because they don't know who to trust. What would you say to someone like that? Right? All right. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions or comments or thoughts about that? There's some typos here. Excuse me.
I was thinking, like you mentioned, for me personally, to reach back out to like old past clients. I guess this kind of thing would actually be really good if you were doing follow-ups with people like quite a lot, like a long time later. You do a check-in with them and see how they're actually doing now. Like if your program made significant change for a long period of time, not just the time that you were with them, kind of thing.
Yes. It's like, what did you learn from working with me, and how has that changed your life?
Mhm.
Right? Like I interviewed in my group, you guys, you might have seen, I interviewed my friend Jacob just before Christmas, and I was interviewing him about confidence because as a business owner and as a coach, something that you really need is confidence. You need confidence to sell effectively. You need confidence to get on camera. You need confidence to lead and help lead people through a process and you know that kind of thing. It all takes confidence. You have to be okay with who you are, right? And you have to not have negative feelings about yourself. So that's confidence. So I wanted to interview him about that because he's the most confident guy I've ever met. But he started out as my client, and this is like a decade ago. He was my client in like 2013. So and that's how we met. So I thought, well, we haven't worked together in that capacity for over a decade, but when he was my client, he learned a lot from me, and since then I've learned a lot from him in other ways. So it was a really great like podcast style interview. It wasn't like I didn't ask these questions because I wanted to interview him about a certain topic, but yeah, like just like you're saying, Sarah, it can be a client that you worked with years ago, and they're still practicing the concepts and skills that you taught them when they did work with you. So it's worth talking about, right? Because that is in as far as return on investment goes. If somebody paid 2K to work with you a few years ago, and the things you taught them a few years ago, they're still implementing in their life now, and their life has improved as a result of the work they did with you, that's worth talking about. So I want you guys to think outside the box. Who have I worked with in my whole career? Who have I worked with several years ago? Who would be good to reach back out to and just get on an interview, just shoot the breeze a little bit about what you guys did together, and even if it was a long time ago, how has that catalyzed the change in their life that they're now enjoying? How did you help them remove a big problem in their life that their life is exponentially better as a result of that, and they're able to do more and be more for themselves and for everyone around them? That's pretty special. So I encourage you guys to have a good look at your network, right? You're all sitting on gold, I guarantee it. You're all sitting on so many things that you could use in your favor. So Katie, you said, you know, or you've got the anxiety about, oh my God, where's my next client going to come from? You're sitting on them. They're right there in your network. I promise. There's people in your network that will buy from you today. You have to believe it. You have to expect it, and you have to go get it and do things like this that are going to increase your chances. Right. That's my little rant. So who has questions? Who has comments? Who has thoughts about that?
I have a question as far as let's say editing it, would you just kind of keep it in its full form and maybe put that in your Facebook group, or would you cut it up in different sections and put it on TikTok or Instagram? How would you go about that?
Yes.
Are there any
So I mean, any and all of the above. Yes. So I just post the whole thing on Facebook because I mean, I don't at the moment with what's going on in my life, I haven't been working. Like my work week is a lot shorter than I'd like it to be. So with the time I've got, I just find if I record them and then post them, that's enough. That's good. But if you have extra time, you can chop them up and use them for reels and use them for TikToks. You can do all of the above, right? The more of that stuff you have time for, do it. It's all good ideas. It's all good to do, right? So definitely, yeah. But something is better than nothing, right? Something is better than nothing. So, sorry, who's up?
Janelle.
Janelle.
I'm just wondering how we could format some of these questions to maybe take advantage of parents that I worked with previously when I was doing the sleep coaching, because, a lot of these parents I worked with, and it was a really, personal experience, but it was geared towards helping their little ones sleep. However, I made some great relationships with these people, and I venture to guess that they would give me another testimonial. So how would I go about framing questions so that it's more like how I made them feel and how I supported them, as opposed to them talking about sleep in specific? Or is
Well, if
that
you-
something I just shouldn't bother doing?
If you look at the way these questions are worded, they don't talk about the what. They don't talk about what you're doing. They talk about what's been the result. Like, how has your life changed? What was your life like? Not what was your sleep like, or what was your fitness like, or what was your nutrition like, right? What was your life like? So you can use the questions as they are, but just get them to talk about the whole experience instead of the specifics of what you did and
Okay.
what you worked on. It's like, how did my life change as a result of working with Janelle? How did my experience as a parent improve as a result of working with Janelle? Does that help?
Yeah.
So it's right there. You don't have to change anything. It's just
Okay.
just be careful about the way you talk about it when you have the interview. Talk
Okay.
about the overall experience of parenting and how that's improved, instead of, oh, we worked on sleep and we helped with sleep and this and that. There's no need to even mention that. But it's like I'm always saying, guys, I always say this like a broken record. Content and marketing and branding is about the why and the who, not about the what. Stop talking about what you do. Start talking about why you do it and who you do it for, and what it means So what does your work mean to your clients in the broader scheme of their life? That's what matters, and that's what people care about. That's what's going to get people to say, oh wow, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to hire this coach because that's the benefit I stand to gain in my life. Not, I'm going to hire a coach because I want to learn how to deadlift. No, people don't give a shit about that. I want to hire a coach because I want to learn how to eat more protein. No, I want to hire a coach because I want my life to be better. I want to hire a coach because I have a problem that I want to remove from my life. I want to feel a certain way. I want to be able to do a certain thing without pain. Right? Is that making sense to everyone? Good. All right, guys. So I'll just open up for any Q&A. If you guys have any other questions, we'll just spend a few minutes. But other than that, I think we're pretty good. Hit me. We're all good? Okay, fantastic. Well, it's been great to see all you guys again. Hopefully that was helpful. Covered a fair few things today. But yeah, I'm proud of all you guys. It sounds like there's some great things happening. It sounds like you're all making great progress. And yeah, today is just a good reminder to leverage the network that you already have and look at like what's right under your nose. Right? You're sitting on a gold mine. All of you are sitting on a gold mine. Be creative about how you make use of it.
Just to like add in there, because we had this conversation last week, and I think I said to you that I had a call like rebooked after the sales call because she wasn't like 100% in.
Yes.
I did that exact same thing because you mentioned, hey, maybe send a testimonial or something like that. And I recently had done an interview with a client, pretty much just exactly like you said. And then with the call coming on, I just sent that over. She didn't reply or anything like that. And she hopped on the call and she was like, oh, thanks for sending that over. She was like, that kind of just pushed me over the edge. She was like, I knew that that's everything I needed. So that was like the one thing that made a difference. So
See, testimonials they're very, 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 very valuable. And they're not hard to get. They're so easy to produce. Right? Look for ways to spend less energy to get a better result. Right? Seriously. If you're going to be doing this for years, if this is going to be your career, make it easier for yourself. Don't make it harder. Use what you've got to your advantage. Right? It's a very, very good piece of advice. All right, we all good? Anyone else have a question or anything else you want to share? Great. Well, great to see you guys. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to next week.
thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I'll see you then.
Thank you.